amigos y bienvenidos a este vuestro programa Dos gatos en tierra de perros. Un podcast de actualidad donde analizamos de manera fáctica y neutral las noticias más relevantes de la política y cultura norteamericana.
Hello, I'm Joe Magaja. Thank you, friends, for coming again for another episode of Dos Gatos en Tierra de Perros. Today, I have with me the entrepreneur and libertarian Martha Bueno. Welcome, Martha. I'm still thinking in Spanish. We just recorded an episode in Spanish.
We have to shift into that English gear and go. I mean, I think it's lovely that we're bilingual and we can do this in two languages. So thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And let's get going. Let's do this.
For sure. Well, you told me a little bit about your history when we were speaking Spanish about how your family's from Cuba and your father was a political prisoner, and how you lived in Venezuela, but you were born here and then you came back here, and you became a libertarian. A lot of people don't really, I'm going to ask you to repeat kind of what you said to a certain extent, because a lot of people don't understand what the libertarian point of view is. And so what is the basic concept of libertarianism?
I can sum it up into two sentences, and I get this from Free the People from Matt Kibbe. This is like their slogan, and I think it's just so brilliant, which is don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. So that's basically the bottom line to it all, and you can apply it to everything and everyone. But there's some basic core tenets of libertarianism, and that is, we believe in a very minimal government. We believe in a government to only protect us from a military invasion type of thing, or to give us the court system. We believe very, very, very staunchly in the Constitution, which I believe is being violated currently. We believe in the individual. And what does that mean? It means that only you have a right to you. Your body belongs to you. It does not belong to the government. The government cannot make decisions for you. That includes anything from mandates over your health to if you choose to go fight in a war. Your life is yours to live as you see fit. We also, of course, you hear famously libertarians saying taxation is theft, which we absolutely believe it, but it's not just taxation. Inflation is also theft. Inflation is another way the government can steal from you. And so we just believe that nobody knows better than you what's right for you. It's impossible for any one human being to be sitting at this top level position, let's say president, to know what is right for everyone. We saw it with the mandates where, the government was saying you have to get this vaccine. And it just wasn't right for everyone. And a lot of people are having issues with that. People, especially who had maybe some other health conditions, and their doctors were like, this is not advised for you, but you wouldn't be able to go out and go to a restaurant because government wanted you to get it.
Or you could even get fired.
Or you could get fired, or, you couldn't travel. And so we are against all of that. We are against a heavy-handed government. Again, we are a country of 330 million people. It is the largest corporation on planet Earth. And to say that one person alone would be able to manage 330 million people is ridiculous. So the power should be in your hands. I am a mother. I believe you said you were a father.
No, I'm not a father. No, but
you said your friends' children.
Yes, my friends. Yeah.
So we
that I know of. Sorry, it's a joke.
Ladies, come back and let them know if there's, we as parents, for example, I think parents can understand that nobody knows what's best for your child better than you do. The government wants to be like, well, there's some bad parents, and we should deal with those bad parents. We should absolutely. But to make everybody a bad parent, which is what the government attempts to do in controlling us, you have to send your children to this school. You have to do these things. You have to vaccinate them according to our schedule. You have to do all these things. That's not the way to do it. Nobody in this planet cares more for my children than I do. And I am offended when the government tries to tell me that they are. So that's basically libertarianism in a nutshell. We believe in you over everybody else. And just because you are of a color, a religion, a sex, a whatever, does not mean that you have special privileges. You do not get to abuse somebody else because you were abused in the past. Two wrongs will never make a right.
Totally, totally. One thing that occurred to me, as you speak, I keep coming up with different questions, and it was a question that I wanted to ask when we were speaking Spanish, because now there really aren't enough jobs for everybody. Part of it is that there's automation, so there's not unskilled labor. There are even McDonald's now where there's nobody working there. It's just automatically you ask for your food and it comes out, and then there's AI that's coming, but there aren't as many jobs as there used to be, and also a degree doesn't guarantee you a job anymore. Do you fear for your children's future in terms of opportunities, or?
I do, but only if government is how we move forward. So I want to kind of, this is a little bit of a history type of, let's go back a little bit to the Industrial Revolution, which was the last time we had this happen in the exact same form. And so if you actually look at the propaganda during the Industrial Revolution, it was like, stop the machines because you're going to be out of a job. What really happens is people become specialized in different things. So for example, in the Industrial Revolution, nobody's going to stand here and be like, oh, it's better for jobs that people are still out there, picking cotton or whatever, or tilling the fields by hand. No, we have improved our standard of living because now we don't have to do those dirty jobs or those heavy jobs. But those people had to transition into new fields. So maybe, you're not going to get the field worker now servicing machines because they don't have those skills. Maybe they can learn how to service those machines. Maybe they can transition into something else. It is a very painful process, but by forcing government to keep those jobs open, it's not gonna make it any better. You cannot stop the human evolution, the human our knowledge to grow and change and make our lives better with technology by forcing people to stay in them. Now we look back and, the internet has revolutionized so much, and now we can work from home. So are we going to say that, for example, if you had to travel for work and now you get to stay home, well, what about those pilots that are no longer flying you around, or those, everything will change. And we're seeing it now in McDonald's. You walk into McDonald's and there's no longer somebody taking your order. There's a machine to take your order. So it is very difficult. And these are trying times, but the government doesn't have the solution to it. The only real solution is for you to find some other work, some other industry, and improve yourself. If the government really wants to help us, maybe instead of forcing jobs, they should be helping us transition into new positions. And AI is going to change everything for all of us. And I've been telling my children, learn AI, learn the new technology, learn it, because, if you think you're going to go out and just, work at a service position, maybe, but you gotta know what's the new thing, and there's always going to be a need for people who know computers, who know technology, who can do things. So it's just a matter of where you are in life and where you see yourself. Take this opportunity to learn something new, something that you're passionate about, maybe, and live a better life. But it's something that's coming. We can't stop it, and I don't think we should stop it. I think that technology has made our lives so much better. We save so much time. And you can see it all around you. I have more time to come on these shows and do these things because I'm not out in the backyard washing clothes by hand and hanging it up in the field to dry. Like, we've improved. Technology helps us, gives us more time. Now you can put food in an air fryer and it'll, cook in 5 to 10 minutes versus maybe spending all day cooking. We've evolved, and we're going to keep evolving, and evolution is just part of who we are. We're getting better at things. Embrace it.
Yeah, and I mean, for that reason, we're able to talk. You're in Miami, I'm in California, but we're able to have this conversation right now.
Right. You would have had to fly me out maybe in another era to have this conversation. It's also improving, like you said, the communication. We are able to share our ideas, which we know that the human mind is the most precious resource we have. The human mind turns things that are meaningless, a rock, into, maybe a rock that we couldn't do anything with, and now we're mining it for whatever we're putting into our batteries for, this new technology that is like EVs or whatever. The human mind is the most incredible resource we have, and it is the basis for everything we have. So I think that if we continue to mind the human mind, we will get much further ahead. And I think that that is one of these things that, whether we like it or not, it's happening.
Yeah. Now I'm going to ask you a little bit of a personal question, because lately it seems like most of the major colleges are kind of indoctrinating young people to a leftist or a democratic belief, to it, but to the some extremes. Do you plan on sending your kids to college? And if so, do you have concerns about certain colleges? Or
So I have two kids already in college, and I let them make their own decisions. I do not make them for them. So my oldest son decided to go off to a university, a 4-year university. He's almost done, and he's getting a degree in marketing. And I think marketing is something that there will always be a need for. I think that if he's good at it and he loves to do it, he will be able to find work and be able to, live a great life on that. My daughter, on the other hand, I think she's a little bit more like me. She's more entrepreneurial, and she's like, I got this. So she is going to a university, but it's a community college that now turned into a university here locally. She lives at home and she has a job. She has a 9 to 5. She's saving money because she wants to start her own business. So I think that it's more than what, just as a parent that you decide for your kids. I think it's about listening to their concerns and helping them go into what is right for them. And there's no one size fits all. My younger two, they're still in high school, both of them. And one is going to graduate a year from now, and the other one has 3 more years to go. And, I think that whatever my oldest is like, the oldest of the two in high school, I mean, he's kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if college is right for me. I don't know. And he likes, he's a young kid, but he's thinking maybe I want to go to college because I want to be a pilot or something. I'm not sure. So, for example, in his case, I'm going to take him soon on a discovery flight so he can see if that's his passion. I just think that kids, it's kind of difficult when at 18 we force them to make a lifelong decision. It's not the right thing to do for them. And not everybody should go to college. You know what? If it's not for you, if studying and getting good grades and being indoctrinated by the system isn't for you, by golly, go get a trade. I much rather he, go work as an electrician or as an HVAC or whatever it is, but he's happy than going and pursuing a degree in philosophy. I mean, and then still not being like, go get a skill. Go get a
yeah,
skill, whatever it is. Go get a skill, go do what makes you happy. So I think it's not a trick question, but it's a little like, let's make
yeah,
people individuals. We're going back to my libertarian beliefs.
yeah. I like that.
Individuals.
I like that. Yeah, and Mike, I think it's pronounced Rowe or Rao, that had that show Dirty Jobs, and
Yeah,
he
Mike
now has
Rowe.
a
Yeah,
podcast.
I love him.
Yeah,
He's
I love him.
great.
Yeah, and he talked about how we used to have apprenticeships where young people could, you didn't always have to go to college, and they did that a lot in Spain when I was living in Spain in the 80s. There were still, you only
Absolutely.
had to go to school till 14, and then you could either go to an apprenticeship or you could go to plan on going to college at 18. But high school is much harder in Spain than it is in the United States. That's really the tough thing. College is
And
easier.
we waste kids' times. I mean, I think about it a lot, especially for kids who have like hardships at home. When you're 15, 16, 17, 18, and you're a man, because you're a young man, but you're a man. Much so more than women, I think. And I know I'm gonna get killed for this because it's like, oh, Martha, listen, I've had sons and daughters. They're not the same. Um, we have different ways of being. But if you're a young man and you see your family going through a hardship, maybe your parents are struggling, and you realize that you could go spend those hours that you really don't care for at school anyways, getting a job and helping your family, but instead we force you into a system where you're there for 8 hours a day. That is not only emasculating them, but that is teaching them that to become reliant. Well, ask the state for help instead of going to help your family. I think we are doing some terrible damage to our youth. I think that if you are a young kid whose family is struggling, you should be going to get those apprenticeship jobs. So when you are 18, instead of struggling at a $10 the hour job or a minimum wage job, you've got the skills to immediately hit the workforce and make 70, 80, $100,000 a year, which not only will help your family, but will help you in the long run. So I think we are doing the wrong thing for our kids, both males and females, because again, I learned how to type, how to be a secretary in high school here. And at the time I was like, oh, look at them trying to teach me this stuff. And those skills I have used to this very day. I am so appreciative of, I went to school back in the 90s when we had typewriters. So, it wasn't your computer, and they'd teach us how to type. They'd turn off the lights, and you couldn't see that keyboard. So I know exactly where all those keys are and how to type, and I think that those skills, we kind of poo-poo them. We're like, meh, we don't need those skills. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And they're really helpful, and they definitely helped me in so many things, and even in being an entrepreneur. These are skills that come. If I didn't know how to type, it'd take me an hour to write a letter where I can. So yeah, I think we need to definitely teach kids skills, and the government is not going to make those changes. I keep saying government. We're saying it in Spanish, but the government is not your friend. They're not going to teach you the skills you need. You need to learn these
And
things.
they seem to be taking away useful. Like I remember there used to be shop class in every high school, and also auto shop where kids would learn how to, fix cars. Now the cars are hybrids or becoming electric, and most of them are computerized too. So it's a lot more complicated. It's not like in the past where, you pull out a carburetor, you pull out
graduate
something.
out of high school here and you have no skills. You
Yeah.
don't know how to do anything. Listen, we are getting so far away from knowing how to grow our own food, from being able to survive, from being able to build our own homes. Why is it that it is so expensive to buy a home? Hey kids, why don't we teach you how to do shop, and you can maybe even build your own home, and all you have to do is buy the land. But no, we are literally turning our children into people who don't know how to do anything. I garden at my house over COVID. I really got into it. I learned to grow food, and it's hard. And if you don't know how to, if there wasn't YouTube or TikTok videos showing us, I don't think I would have been able to do it. And then now my youngest, my 15-year-old, since COVID, so now for 4 years, we've been raising our own chickens. I
That's
eat fresh
great.
eggs.
Do you have to
We have, yeah,
do you have to have
it's difficult.
a permit or something for that, or are you? Because
Oh
I know
dear
there's
God,
some
can you
cities.
imagine asking the
Yeah.
government for a permit to be able to grow your own food? I'm fortunate to live in a part of Miami that is in an agricultural zone, so I don't have to ask the government for permission. A lot of people do, and my point to those people is, what? You
Yeah,
need to ask somebody else if you can grow your own food? I need you to sit down and think about this for a minute and wonder, who does that benefit?
exactly. Yeah, I'm sure in California we're in a constant state of drought, and there was a law I think on the books for a while where we couldn't catch rainwater and hold our own rainwater, and they give
Think about
excuses.
that for a minute.
Yeah.
You are in a drought.
Mhm.
Ergo, the most intelligent thing for you to do is catch the rainwater that is coming from the sky, free water, and repurpose it so that your plants can be watered, so that you can grow food and not be reliant on those farmers who are growing monoculture crops, which is literally causing the problem in the first place and is taking your water. I mean, it's almost like everything government does, it turns to poop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also the whole planning system in California for water is terrible. We're in Southern California. We're basically in a desert throughout the area, and our drainage system just goes out to the ocean, and
Right.
and
Turns
we have
great
some
water
reservoirs, but
into unusable water. I mean, what
yeah,
a, it's a scam. And
yeah.
that's, I think, the biggest point we can make here is it's a scam. It's a scam to benefit some people. California's in a drought, but what is one of your biggest agricultural products? It's almonds. Almonds
Yeah, which
take,
take a
for
ton of
every
water.
almond
Yeah.
is about a gallon of water.
Mhm.
One almond,
Yeah.
1 gallon of water. So you're in a drought, and they think that that's the best crop to be growing. I mean, maybe y'all should be raising cattle and chickens and ducks, because those things will cause your soil to improve and need less water, and stop with this monoculture. But no, government is going to protect their friends and their buddies, and they're going to screw you over. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. And until we, the people, say, I don't care what you say, I'm going to grow my own chickens, and I'm going to, my land has improved thanks to these chickens, because they're, what they give me beyond the eggs and the actual meat, they also give me fertile soil, because I'm feeding them my kitchen scraps, amongst other things. Of course, I buy them their food, but they take my kitchen scraps, food that I wasn't going to eat anyways, and they turn it into the best soil there is, you know, when they poop out. So it is a fantastic place to be, when you can do this and learn to do it. And I know that if there is ever an issue, I am teaching my children these skills that are super important, and they're not learning those in school. So, you know,
Yeah,
going
and
back
there
to the
seems to be a
education
movement
system.
against farming now. In Europe, they've tried to shut down farms, and part of it, I think I don't know, there's a whole movement trying to change the way we eat, and there's this whole claim
They
that,
want you to eat the bugs, man. You
yeah,
need to eat the
exactly,
bugs.
exactly. And I mean, I'm fine with, I haven't tried chapulines, but I understand they're
No,
tasty.
I will
Yeah,
not eat bugs. I do not
yeah,
eat the parts of the cows or the chickens that I find disgusting. I am not about to eat bugs.
yeah, yeah,
That's why I grow
exactly.
my own chickens. I can listen, I've got about 30 chickens. They provide me enough eggs and enough meat that I can survive with my family. And that is the point. You know, if you don't want to raise them yourself, have these skills.
Mhm.
Learn how to make something. I couldn't make a home. And so, of course, I have to pay somebody to make it for me, which is expensive. But, you know, I've been telling my kids, hey, there's some lands here. Feel free to build yourself something if that's what you want and you want to move out of the house and you can't afford it. You
They
know,
could get one of
learn
those
these skills.
tiny homes that you can have delivered, and just all you have to do is set up the electricity and the water.
Whatever, yeah, let's learn to set up the electricity and the water. That's still more skills than what I have, that's for sure. And you know, again, it's a matter of when we think that the government is the one that is going to save us, that's where we have the problem. The government is not going to save you. And there's going to be a point where they just won't be able to print enough money for everyone. And we're going to see hunger start to happen. We see it in other countries. You know, people in the United States, we've lived so insulated for so long. We don't travel the world. We don't see how other people live, but it happens. Venezuela used to be one of the richest countries in the world. And if you go there now, you'll see that it is no longer that. And for a time being, people were foraging in the trash cans for food. People in Venezuela, even though they have some of the richest farmlands and they were foraging for food in trash cans. We cannot rely on anyone else to solve our problems. It's
Yeah,
unfortunate, but it is true.
yeah. Now, what are your thoughts on the the speech that Trump gave at the Libertarian Convention? I know they booed him, but I thought it was very gutsy. I don't think that's something that Biden would ever dare to do.
He was invited. Biden was invited and did not come. So you are correct. Biden would never do this. And he would have never stood there as they were booing him. I want to say, so I have never been on the Trump team. I was never like, woo, Trump. And he won me over with my particular issue, which is free Ross. I did not boo him, although a lot of people did, and that was to be expected. We're libertarians, and I know a lot of Republicans saw that and are like, "Oh, you guys are so rude and disrespectful." I agree. It is rude and disrespectful. However, you have to understand that these people, you know, we know the truth. We've been trying to get onto the ballot for 50 years. We've been trying to push, you know, in American politics to have the right to do these things that other countries are able to do, and to have our voices heard, and we are not being heard. So when finally they pay attention to us, there's a lot of pent up frustration, a lot of anger, and they're going to voice it. But Trump stood there and he took it, and he took it like a champ. And you know, he showed that he has interest in coming to us, and he showed that we mattered. You know, that our few million votes matter to him, and he wanted to build a coalition with us to get him into the White House again. And he's gonna pardon the J6ers, which I think is super important. We have a lot of political prisoners in this country. The J6ers are obviously one of them. Ross Ulbricht is another political prisoner, a young man who built a website, and for the crime of building this website, he was given 2 life sentences plus 40 years. I believe that Ross Ulbricht is not a criminal. He's a hero, and he is my hero. He is somebody who built the ultimate free market using a currency that the United States government couldn't touch at that point. Now Bitcoin has been, you know, corrupted, and the United States government owns so much of it, and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, he did something amazing. I think that Ross Ulbricht has, his work here on earth is not done, and I look forward to seeing what he can do. So Trump came, he gave us all these things. He also said that he'd put a libertarian in his cabinet, in his office. I would love to see that. Of course, I'm a huge fan of people like that are Republicans in name, but are very libertarian, like Thomas Massie. We have Rand Paul. We have Justin Amash, whom I am a huge fan of. We have a libertarian like Spike Cohen. We have Dave Smith, who's constantly
I
on Joe
love Dave
Rogan,
Smith.
and he's
Yes.
great. Especially, I'd love to see him, especially, you know, on war issues. You know, I think that we have a lot of good people to offer. I think Angela McArdle, the chair of the Libertarian National Convention, who made this whole thing happen, I think she would be a fantastic person in his cabinet. And if all of that wasn't enough, hi, Mr. Trump, I'm here. I'd love to work on Cuba, please. So, you know, I think that there's a lot of good people, and I'd love to see any and or all of us in office helping him, or in his cabinet, should I say, helping him achieve those goals. Because I think that the last time Trump was in office, he dropped the ball a lot. And I think that he didn't realize how corrupt the DOJ was until they came after him. And I have to say that he is being persecuted in the same court in the Southern District in New York that Ross Ulbricht was persecuted under. So they have that in common. And he said he was going to free him on day one. And I will hold him to that. I will vote for Mr. Trump. And I hope Mr. Trump will release Ross Ulbricht day one, of course, unless Biden does it before, which I would not be angry about. But yeah, that is my single issue vote. I believe that Ross Ulbricht deserves to be free. He served 11 years in prison. He didn't deserve to be there for a single day, let alone 11 years. He's lost all of his 30s. He's a little bit younger than I am, and I can't imagine spending the last 10 years of my life in a cage because I built a website. So free Ross. Trump got me on that one. I did not go in intending to vote for him, but I certainly left with a conviction that I not only will vote for him, but I will do the best that I can to get more people to vote for him as well.
And yeah, he kind of did the Trump thing. He said, okay, well, you can either vote for me or you can keep getting 3% or something like that.
He was generous. We got,
Yeah.
last time around, we got 1.2%.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
generous.
That's true.
And you know what? It hurts. The truth
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah.
But it is the truth. And I worked on that campaign that got that 1.2%. I worked on Joe Jorgensen's campaign. It was over COVID. I was sitting at home. I wasn't able to, other than gardening and raising chickens, I really wasn't doing much else. So I volunteered. I gave my time. I was not paid for it. I gave my time. I gave my energy, I even put my money behind it because I traveled around the country. And we got a 5% increase over Gary Johnson's numbers. Gary Johnson spoke Spanish. I did the Hispanic outreach for Joe Jorgensen with my good friend Zach Foster. We translated all of her materials. We did all this work. And I have to say that, we were proud of that 5% gain, but it is so difficult. I do like Chase. He's been a good friend of mine for years. Chase Oliver is a wonderful human being. And even though we don't agree on a lot of his policies, he is a wonderful man. And I congratulated him for winning. I made a post about people should follow him. And immediately I got tagged. How can you support Chase if you're supporting Trump? And you know what? He's a great person. And I really wish that this wasn't a competition, one or the other. And I really wish that some people, that we could get a libertarian into the White House. But we're not going to do it through the front door. So I'm going to try the back door with Trump. Again, hi, Trump. I'm available. I'd love to be your libertarian in office.
Now, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
The overall concept, or do you want me to get specific into like block wars? Like how deep do we want to go with this?
Well,
so
I
I'm
think,
a big fan of
yeah,
Bitcoin.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Bitcoin, Monero, cryptocurrencies in general. This is not financial advice. Please do not take it as such. To me, these cryptocurrencies, what they have beyond a financial thing is the United States government, as of 1913, when the Fed was created, and as of 1971 or 79, I get them confused, where we went off the gold standard.
I think 71. Yeah, when Nixon
71.
was in. Yeah.
Right, 71. Thank you. Our money is based on nothing. It's based on our belief in the United States government, of which I have none. So what is cryptocurrency based on? Well, it's based on also something that a lot of people have a difficult concept understanding, but there is a limited amount of them, and it is based on mathematical equations. So, you can have a cryptocurrency that does not have a limit. Monero is one such currency that doesn't have a limit, and you have Bitcoin that has a limit of 21 million coins. So, the thing that matters the most to me is to be able to get off of something that a government can control. Bitcoin is controlled by people, not by governments. It's controlled by getting a consensus amongst miners and people who do the work and the people who use it. So for me, anything that is decentralized, that is away from a central government, that somebody can manipulate it, is a better source of currency than a fiat currency, which is basically something that the government can just print more of out of thin air, and that just devalues yours. Again, I grew up in Venezuela, so hyperinflation is not a concept that I don't understand. My father was really hurt by that. He would buy his inventory here in the United States, and he had a 4 bolivar with 4.25 bolivar to the dollar exchange in the late 80s. And by the time early 90s rolled in, that, or late 80s rolled in, that went away. Hyperinflation came in, and it became 400 bolivares to a dollar. So imagine if you take out $1 million loan, and it's a 4 million bolivar loan payment that you have to make, and all of a sudden it's a 400 million bolivar payment, and then it became a 400,000. But it's so exponential. Your money becomes worthless.
Yeah, it's like Germany in the 30s before World War II, where they were literally carrying money in
buckets.
You
need a wheelbarrow to buy a gallon of milk.
Yeah, and that's the word I was looking for, wheelbarrow.
Yeah, a wheelbarrow. You needed a wheelbarrow, and you needed it in Venezuela as well. And so, for Americans that we don't understand hyperinflation, this is a problem. We don't understand. We're like, oh my God, everything's so expensive. Why is it? That's because we have inflation. When you go into the supermarket, and before a carton of eggs was $1.25 and now it's $10, you understand that inflation, and it's not going to stop there. One day you're going to walk into the supermarket and you're going to need $20 for that same carton of eggs. So again, either learn to grow some chickens and get your free eggs, free and whatever, but your hardworking eggs, or you're going to need to get on some currency that does not shift like that. So it's a very interesting concept. Again, not financial advice, but I hope that everybody is diversified in their holdings. And that's not just the stock market. I believe highly in gold, silver, and Bitcoin, and all or any cryptocurrency that you believe in, that you have done your research on and you understand. But in a nutshell, you need alternative forms of currency. If anything, look at Latin America, look at what happened in Argentina and Venezuela. Just countries that have crazy hyperinflation. It's always the government's fault, and the government is not your friend.
Yeah, I've seen a meme that's been going around of JP Morgan, and I don't know, I haven't verified that this is an actual quote of his, but you see quotes, and then you're like, oh, and then they're like, oh, that actually wasn't said by him, it was Mark Twain or whatever. But he said gold is the only money, everything else is credit. Which kind of makes sense. So
you can think that about Bitcoin as well. People call it digital gold. So I just, again, my point is, make sure you're diversified, make sure you know something about the money that you're investing in, whether it's gold or it's silver. And also just keep in mind that the United States government at one point made owning your own gold illegal, and they actually raided the lock boxes of people at banks and stuff and took their gold from them. So just be cautious, just be careful, and understand that all that's happened has happened in the past. We just keep repeating history. And the more you learn history, which is something we don't teach in schools anymore, the real history, the better off you are, because then you can see it as it's happening to you in real time.
Yeah. Now, there's a bunch of problems the country and the world is going through right now. Partly these wars that need to end, partly our economy, which according to the government is doing great, and they've made new jobs and everything's going wonderful, and inflation is down and blah, blah, blah. But what I'm wondering is, do you think that, how much of this do you think that Trump or any president can fix? And where are we going economically? We owe so much money to China now. I don't see how it's possible to pay it all back.
We won't, and there's no intention to pay it back, and we won't pay it back because, as you just accurately quoted, everything that's not gold is credit. Well, in order for us to have a dollar, we need to have this. We need to have this amount of debt. We need people to buy our debt in order for a dollar to be worth something. So I don't think that necessarily a president, I don't think President Trump or President Biden are going to solve it. I think it's going to be solved when we the people decide that it's time to solve this problem. When we the people go, you know what, government, you just can't control our monetary policies anymore, and we're going to go on to an alternative currency, whether that be gold, silver, Bitcoin, Monero, Zcash, Dogecoin, whatever it is. You know, once we have the ability to freely transact amongst each other in whatever currency we want, we remove the control of the United States government. Because the only thing that they can do, and they have to keep doing it at this point, there's no other alternative, is to keep printing and to keep going into debt and to keep making the poor poorer. Because, you know, for the government, their only solution, when all you have is a hammer, everything becomes a nail. So this is their only solution. All they can do is print more money, spend more money. This is why we have wars. If the currency didn't depend on the government, it would not be beneficial to us to be in a constant war. So we also have to understand that by continuing to use the dollar, we are funding wars, and we're going to continue to fund wars because Raytheon is not going to pay for itself. You know, they need that. Boeing, all these major institutions that the government props up, they need us to keep churning out these wars. So it's a dirty game, and it's unfortunate, but we just need more education out there. We need more people to understand. The faster we move to an alternative currency that the government can't control, the faster we can end these wars.
Now, one problem, I don't know if it's a problem as much in Florida, but it's a huge problem in California, and I think in New York and Chicago, most major cities, is homelessness. What would because I know libertarians are basically kind of like, you do you, me do me, but I think a lot of the homeless, I know that many of them are addicted to drugs. Also, a lot of them have mental illness problems. There are a lot of them that are veterans from our wars that have PTSD, etc. What's the libertarian way of fixing that problem, or is there one?
I don't think anybody, libertarian or otherwise, has a solution to this problem because it's not a political solution. It is a human nature solution. Every single city, every single state in America has a huge homeless budget, and yet they can't solve the problem. And they want to end homelessness by forcing the homeless to live in their ghetto type situation setups. And, you know, you can't be on drugs. Well, not everybody wants to live that life. And so I don't think, again, that this is a solution that politics is going to solve. I think that this takes human nature. And, you know, I think that one of the easy things we can do is to stop funding the government, you know, solutions, because they're not solutions. Here in Miami-Dade County, we have a budget just for Miami-Dade County of $45 million for the homeless. And every year, homeless population grows. So we're essentially telling people who can't afford their property taxes that they're going to become homeless because they need to fund the homeless. So, I mean, we're causing more problems than we're helping. So I think the first step when you're in a hole is to stop digging the hole. The first step is going to be, we need to stop this. You know what? Good people are going to donate to those ideas if they're good. And let's let the people help other people. I don't think government is a solution. And I don't think that forcing people to live the way you want them to live. And I mean, this is not you, but, you know, the
Right.
you general.
Yeah.
You know, not forcing people to live that way is going to help. What's wrong with maybe a facility where people can get food and bathrooms and stuff, but they live in their tents as they want to, out of the city, out of the way, even if they are doing drugs and, you know, whatnot. I just, you know, we should be able to offer, let's let the free market come up with a way to solve it. Let's let people who are way smarter than I am come up with a good solution. Because you know what? Government is not smarter than any of us, and they've not come up with a solution. And they've been promising us a solution for hundreds of years, and they haven't come up with it. So I think if anybody tells you, I have the solution, listen to me, automatically discard that person immediately. No, you don't. And if giving somebody $45 million in a place where there's 3 million inhabitants and about 3,000 homelessness, they can't solve it for years. It's 45 million this year, 45 million next year, 45 million the year after, and it keeps growing, right? Before it was probably like 42 million, now it's 45, then it'll be 48, and that compounds. That's $100 million in 2 years, pretty much. And they can't solve the problem, and we have more people. You know, we, at some point we just got to realize that you don't have to have all the solutions. Not every politician is going to be like, I have all the solutions. Nobody's God. Stop it. Let's stop trusting these people and let's start trusting ourselves and help your neighbor, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on again. We did a marathon, basically half in Spanish, half in English.
Yes,
I have
sir.
a ton more questions, but I think you're getting tired and
Next
my
time.
brain is tired for
Yeah.
next time as well. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Where can folks find you on in the internet or
On the internet,
social
I am
media?
Bueno for Miami on X and IG. I've been booted off of Facebook and I've been booted off of TikTok. So just X and IG are my current places. Now that I'm on the Trump train, maybe I'll get on Truth Social. I don't know. I haven't decided. I'm not really that committed to starting a whole new. I do love X. X is a great place for free speech, and IG is great for videos because sometimes it takes a video to get a point across. So you can find me
Wonderful.
there. And Bueno for Miami. Bueno, as you can see, my last name.
Yes.
The other way. Bueno
Muy
for
bueno,
Miami.
muy bueno.
Yep. I
Well,
mean, it's a
thank
great
you.
last name. I
Yeah.
can't believe I ever changed it to my ex-husband's last name. Silly me.
What was it? Well, if you don't
No,
want to say,
no.
no.
Pa' atrás ni pa' coger impulso. No, no, no.
Vale, perfecto. Sí, sí, sí. Mejor bueno, or you could change it to maravilloso or tremendo.
That's my dad's name, so I'm gonna wear it with pride.
That sounds good. Well, thank you so much. And I definitely want to have you back sometime. All of this is fascinating and I'm still learning about everything. I think basically I believe in everything that you believe in. I just am still, I have questions about libertarianism because it's, yeah.
And I think that most of us are libertarians. Inherently, we all want what's fair, what's right, what's good. And I think that there's a lot of bad people out there, but the vast majority, I travel a lot and I come across so many good people everywhere that want to help each other, that are neighborly. And I don't like that government rhetoric of everybody's evil and everybody's out to get you and they hate you because of the color of your skin or because you're female or you're male or you're tall or you're short. And that's just not true. And so I hope that we can come together as a country and learn and leave each other alone.
Absolutely.
So thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you to all our listeners. And we will see you next time. Ciao.
Hola, soy yo, Magana. Yo soy Fernando Vera, un podcast de actualidad donde analizamos de manera fáctica y neutral las noticias más relevantes de la política norteamericana. La falsificación de votos. Causa un tremendo revuelo aquí en Estados Unidos. Una arma de propaganda, pero hoy día los periodistas no cuestionan lo que hacen el diario político. Yo no he podido controlar la política internacional. Los gatos en tierra.